Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning. Hope you guys are having a great start to your day and a great weekend so far. We want to fit in a quick video here this morning before I head off to church, talking about what could happen today. It's going to be another active day in the weather world as far as severe weather. So that's really what we're going to break down this morning. We're going to talk about the entire country as a whole also, but we're really going to focus on these two areas that could really see some nasty weather today, especially areas of western Texas. We're really going to talk about that a good bit this morning. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Happy May 1st. This year is just rolling on by. It's been a very successful year so far. So I really appreciate the ongoing support as we dig a little bit deeper into the warmer months of the year and inch a little bit closer to hurricane season. So there's some active times ahead, but we're probably going to roll through some more quieter times as we are working our way through the middle of the year. So if you think guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and more importantly, it gives a lot of other people an opportunity to pray over it also. So let's get rolling this morning. So let's take a look at the satellite visibility here, like we like to always do. If you see this discoloration kind of move through, that is because the sun is coming up along the eastern and middle part of the country. Sun is just starting to come up along the western U.S., but you still got this mid-level swirl going on, promoting more storms across the eastern portions of the country. You got some nasty weather moving through portions of southern Ohio, moving into West Virginia this morning, and eventually the atmosphere will be primed for a little bit of severe weather popping off here in the coming hours as the atmosphere destabilizes in West Virginia, areas of Virginia, and even areas of North Carolina. We'll talk more about that. Then this portion of the country a little bit later on, as you have some westerly winds aloft. You're going to have enough moisture at the surface and mid-level steep lapse rates in place here to really promote some big-time hail across areas of western Texas. So we're going to talk about these several supercells that are likely to form a little bit later this afternoon in this area of the country. So, and in response to that, you do have a large enhanced risk right here. This includes Amarillo, Lubbock, now includes Abilene, Texas, Midland, down to Fort Stockton. This is where those supercells can form today. You're going to have many of them. You're not going to be worrying about a cap in place, limiting any kind of storm development. There'll be somewhat of one, but it doesn't matter. You're going to get multiple storms that do form out here. And really, you have a tornado threat. There's a 5% risk of a tornado threat, 25 miles at any given point. This is a pretty large area. But really, the hail threat is massive, 30% chance of hail. At 25 miles at any given point in this red area, the Hatch region, even inside the 15% risk, is a 10% risk under or overlapping, however way you want to say it, a 10% chance of a larger hail approaching 2-inch diameter or larger. So there is a chance for very large hail today. This is kind of the setup where you can see gorilla hail, meaning in the weather world we like to call it gorilla hail when you have that just very, very large hail the size of softballs. There's also severe weather expected in this portion of the country, going on right now through the afternoon hours. This is going to be more of an early to mid-afternoon threat probably, but you could still definitely have some nasty weather later on this evening. So this slight risk almost includes Pittsburgh. It goes down to Charleston, West Virginia, into Roanoke, Virginia, and even includes areas of a few northern counties of North Carolina. There's a marginal risk also that extends all the way to Cleveland and goes all the way down to Raleigh and almost all the way down to Charlotte. But even in the areas with a light green, storms are possible today for sure, even down to the Carolinas, South Carolina, Georgia. Hail threat is here today in this region. Damaging wind threat is there too. So let's get going here. And in response, you can actually see there's already an area of energy that we're watching here. So Charleston, West Virginia, you guys are going to be seeing some heavy rain. And most of Virginia will probably see some rain from this throughout the mid-morning hours and late morning hours. And eventually, this will work into this portion of West Virginia and Virginia. And the atmosphere will probably be more prime here as the atmosphere destabilizes with the daytime heating and the humidity building here in this region. You're probably going to have a chance for severe weather in this region here in the coming hours for sure. So let's talk about what it could look like throughout the southeast today, and then we'll talk about Texas. So we'll get a more broader view at this first, and then we'll zone into each individual area. So throughout the morning hours, you're going to continue to have this area of moisture, some showers and storms, heavier rain, continue to move through West Virginia. And then as you're approaching lunchtime, early afternoon, this is when they have a chance to be strong in Virginia, western areas of Virginia, and far eastern areas of West Virginia, and then some nasty storms. Watch out, Boone. Watch out the southwest areas of Virginia. You guys could see some nasty storms today. And then watch out down here, even into Georgia. There will be more isolated in nature, but you guys even into the Carolinas could see some storms today. Let's go on and get a little bit closer to my folks in West Virginia and Virginia. And going out through the morning hours, this right around here, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this is when this leftover energy from this morning and overnight starts to enter an atmosphere that is already destabilizing. You got some Kate building into this region here in Virginia, and then these storms will intensify right here in western areas of Virginia and southwest Virginia, and they will continue through the afternoon hours, crossing probably the entire state. Watch out Washington, D.C., probably about mid to late afternoon, and then they'll move through the middle part of Virginia, and it'll probably be more so, I would say, a damaging wind, maybe some small hail kind of threat in this region right here. Let's go on and switch it down to the Carolinas. Same kind of situation. You move it through the morning hours, you're getting into the afternoon hours, and it becomes a little bit more broken up in nature as you get deeper, more southwest into the Carolinas and North Georgia. But these storms right here could pack a punch. Watch out Richmond, Virginia, a little bit later this evening into the early evening hours. And this really intensifies. You know, around Richmond, you're starting to get close to the coastal regions of Maryland and Delaware, just the southern areas of the Delmarva area in general. Watch out for a shelf cloud in this region right here as it starts to enter the more ocean areas of this region of the Virginia right here in Maryland. And even down here, watch out here in North Carolina. You know, I'll back it up a couple hours into the late afternoon, early evening hours. And watch out Raleigh. You guys could see some nasty storms a little bit later this evening. And it will just become a little bit more isolated in nature as you get into South Carolina, where I'll back it up a couple hours. You could just have some pop-up showers and storms. But we'll have to just see how the atmosphere reacts today to this. But if you live in South Carolina, anywhere in Georgia, and especially North Carolina into Virginia, into Washington, D.C., Maryland, you expect some showers and storms today. And some of them could be strong to severe damaging winds. I'm not expecting any kind of outbreak or anything like that, but it certainly could create a ruckus out here in these areas of the country right out in here. So just expect, here it is, an area of convection blows up here about early mid-afternoon here in western Carolinas and areas of western Virginia. It moves throughout the Virginia area, North Carolina, and then, you know, it's just kind of a broken up kind of line of storms that could definitely promote damaging winds. As far as temperatures today, you got this pool of cooler air kind of dominating the atmosphere up here into the surface. So it's going to be a chilly day in Chicago, northern half of Illinois, all the way to Iowa, Wisconsin, northern sections, Great Lakes region. This northern areas of Michigan will definitely be a little bit more chilly today in the 50s and 40s. And then the entire state of Minnesota just in the 40s and even just 30s for highs. But up into the mid-Atlantic, you guys are getting some warm air. You notice this looks like a weird pocket of cool air that is response to this upper trough that brings its own cold air to the surface. Therefore, areas around it could see warm air. But just whoever's being influenced by this cloud cover, by this spin right here, will stay chilly today. And these are so slow moving that's not like, you know, you're going to have this moving on out of the way. You can see a tight cloud gradient right into here. So it's always interesting to look at on satellite here. But down here in the south, anywhere in the south, name a state and it'll be warm today. You know, Texas all the way through Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Carolinas, Florida, all the way up to Virginia. We'll get some storms today into the mid-Atlantic, even portions of especially the central to eastern areas, the Ohio Valley. Warm today, 70s, 80s, even 90s for certain areas for sure. I tell you, talking about my folks here in Texas, expect sometime about mid-afternoon, I would say 2, 3, 4 o'clock. These things get going. And I mean, look here, you already got a massive storm right down here, you know, just north of Fort Stockton, Texas. This one has been showing up actually very frequently through the last several model runs. It really likes the idea of a big storm popping up here that really starts off the process of a bunch of renegade supercells that get fired up here. Got a supercell up here in western panhandle of Oklahoma. Another one right here just west or southwest of Amarillo. One right on top of Lubbock showing up on the HRRR model. Even a couple, you know, I imagine this piece of energy will really start to get going as far west as eastern sections of New Mexico, but they really explode as they get into Texas. But I mean, just watch out. You know, there's a lot of bigger small towns, if you will. I know that's kind of offsetting, but a lot of big towns in this region. Definitely couldn't call them cities, but definitely bigger towns here, like Lubbock, Midland, Amarillo. Certainly need to watch out for large hail. Not everybody will even see rain today in this region of the country, but if you get under one of these cells throughout the mid to late afternoon hours, it is going to be massive hail. So if you got a way to definitely put your car under something, I know not everybody has a carport or a garage, but if you have a way to cover it up, definitely figure out something this morning for sure, because these are going to be some nasty cells right here in western Texas. And even watch out the central part of Texas, it has some storms, that's why this enhanced region has been kind of stretched out to the middle through Abilene, Texas. There's going to be some big-time storms even in central Texas. Watch out Dallas-Fort Worth a little bit later in the evening hours as these storms kind of lose their steam, but they will still pack a punch. But the atmosphere is definitely going to promote big hail. And in fact, this is going to be very hard to show on your screen. That's why I don't show weather models as much anymore. It's because their images are so small to see. But if you look at these little kind of blotches on your screen, these yellowish and greenish and bluish colors right here, if you compare this to the graph, if you look really hard, squint your eyes, that is some yellow showing up. That is pushing 1.5 inch to almost 2 inch diameter hail as possible in these storms that form anywhere really. So it's trying to predict how big the hail is as far as inches right here. So as far as the significant tornado parameter, there will be a tornado threat with this. These storms will kind of almost be generating their own low-level winds, if you will. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but so, if one really gets going and there's enough spin in the atmosphere to it, they could produce a tornado. There's going to be a lot of wall clouds. So there's going to be a lot of probably funnel clouds, but will these actually, reach the ground? The tornado threat not near as high as the large hail threat because you're lacking the kinematics you need, meaning the winds aloft, to really spin these updrafts like I always mention here. But hey, the parameters are still pretty high in certain areas. We don't look at this too much because it's not always accurate, but in general, you can get a good idea that, hey, there's going to be at least a low to mid-level tornado threat in this region of the country today for sure. But temperatures, they're going to remain kind of cool in this portion of the country right here, southern sections of Idaho, Utah, Nevada. Below average temperatures in this region, not well below average, but it's really because you have another upper trough digging through that's going to promote more severe weather in this portion of the country tomorrow that we really need to watch out for. I'll briefly talk about that here in a second, but very warm temperatures just south of this upper trough, starting to build close to 100 in the desert southwest, and nice temperatures everywhere else. You got that piece of energy right here, and you can actually see the spin and moisture right here in this part of the country with this low pressure developing along this upper trough, and it's just spinning around here, a lot of moisture firing up going on. Then another big time system will begin to enter the west coast later this evening into overnight. But if we look at tomorrow's threat, we mentioned yesterday, and we'll talk about this tonight, that we kind of thought that this was going to be a 10% risk of a tornado introduced in this area, and there's actually a hatched risk, which means there is a chance for a significant tornado. And sure enough, that is exactly what they've done. They've issued a 10% risk, and then you got the big time hail threat in this region. We'll talk about this tonight because this could be a dangerous situation, especially for Oklahoma City. So we'll talk more about that tonight. God bless all y'all. Y'all have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to y'all this evening.